And a 10 mask camera. Five Nights 2 introduced the mechanic of a wearable Freddy head that would fool animatronics, making them believe you are in a suit instead of just being a naked endoskeleton. However, the mechanic didn't appear in the first game, which is the second in the FNAF timeline, which is weird. Maybe because in FNAF 2 it's possible to activate both the camera and the mask at the same time, or at least very similar times, to show the cameras through the eyes of the mask. Yeah, while this may seem inconvenient, the camera is still fully functional. You can change to each camera and still wind the music box, but you can only see out of the eyes, which makes this incredibly frustrating and hard to use. This occurs because when you activate one of the two objects at the bottom, the arrows at the bottom don't leave instantly. It takes a few frames before it's gone, so if you can catch the other activation extreme quickly, you can have both going at the same time. The thing is, I don't know if you can deactivate it, so unless you can remember where everything is, you're gonna get jump scared by the puppet. And 9 double jump scares. It is actually possible for you to get double jump scared in one night. Sure, over multiple nights and attempts you can get scared multiple times, but if you can somehow time things perfectly, or terribly depending on how you look at it, you can get scared twice in one night. If you run out of power, that aspect of the game overwrites everything, and even if Chica is in your face, you aren't dead until the static pops up. Therefore, if Chica or Bonnie or even Freddy is in your face when you hit 0% power, you can be saved and have to deal with Freddy's glowing face and eyes looking at you like he's about to stuff you in a suit. Because technically he is, because you're a naked endoskeleton, because you don't have a head to hide behind. This can even happen when Foxy pops into the room, which is really weird and goes to show that anything is possible with these games.
You're dead. You're dead.
Number 8, backstage. With all the heads on shelves, who wouldn't be terrified by the backstage location in FNAF 1? Your first playthrough, knowing this is a horror game about animatronics who come to life, will likely make you view this whole setup in complete horror. This is, after all, where the animatronics start out in FNAF 1 before starting to roam around and trying to get into the office so they can kill you. They also have a tendency to get up real close to the camera sometimes in this location, which, as you maybe quickly flip through all the security cams, can catch you off guard and give you a bit of a scare.
And at 7, 8-bit gameplay. The mini-games in Five Nights all have a sort of old 8-bit Atari style aesthetic, and usually this only pertains to the mini-games. However, on a very rare occasion in Five Nights 3, you can end up getting an 8-bit style in the main game, which makes things very complicated and difficult since, you know, you can only see half the screen. Only the little lines that you can see, which would be the lines that had color and that weren't just black, so it's very confusing and you'll have to see it for yourself, because what it happens after you do one of the mini games, it might just not reset. And at 6, Vanishing Bonnie. Withered Bonnie is the only scary version of Bonnie that isn't based on Halloween. However, in FNAF 2, when he appears in your office, it is possible to get rid of it. And I don't mean the typical game way of wearing the Freddy head. I mean you can actually get him to vanish temporarily by turning on one of the vent lights. It doesn't matter which, they will both work, and it gives you a view of the hall that you otherwise wouldn't have. I'm not sure that this is possible every time, I only know that it is possible. If anyone has gotten this glitch and made it to work, did it work every time or did you try not to replicate it again? I'm very curious and genuinely wondering because while I'd like to have all the facts, nobody's talking about this glitch online. There isn't like a Freddy and Friends glitch wiki page or something. Even though there should be. Is Freddy and Friends a fan game? I feel like it is. Sounds like it. If it's not, it should be. And there should be a fan glitch page. Halfway through at number 5, Unrecognizable Foxy. I'm using this number to complain, if I'm being totally honest. If you didn't know, in Help Wanted's Curse of Dreadbear DLC, there is a corn maze minigame, and in that minigame you are working your way around a corn maze to try to find colored keys while Foxy is on your tail. The only really scary part about it once you've played it multiple times is the fact that there is crows on the ground that cluster, like they form groups, and then when you stand on them they caw really loudly and scatter and it scares the hell out of you. It's the only scary part of that game. But they also alert Foxy to your location. Anyway, if Foxy sees you, you need to hide behind a cardboard cutout of some of your favorite characters. But the thing is, he's supposed to see you and run at you, but he can just not do that. He can just walk at you and pretend not to notice you, then you move away from the cutout, and then BOOM! You get jump scared and crap yourself. It's incredibly rude and a horrible abuse of game mechanics. Out of the 4 times I've lost in that minigame, out of I don't know how many times I've played it, 2 of them are because Foxy used this, okay? He trolled me, and he abused the game mechanics, It's not cool, man. And at 4, Glitch Trap. I know Glitch Trap was intentionally programmed into the game, however, in the world of FNAF Help Wanted, Glitch Trap was never an intentional feature of the game, and it caused Jeremy to cut his own face off, and maybe even absorb the other beta tester. So in essence, Glitch Trap is called Glitch Trap for a reason. He's William Afton that got into the game because of hard drives that were scanned due to helping the code to create the game, and how Afton managed to transfer his consciousness into a hard drive, it's a mystery. Wait, maybe he infused the hard drives with remnant he got from the Springtrap suit. Or maybe he just injected his own DNA into the hard drives or made remnant some other way. I don't know, that could be a major plot point soon. But how can we really know? How do you think William got his consciousness into the hard drives? Let me know your theories down below. And 3, Ultimate Custom Night. We can all agree at this point that Ultimate Custom Night takes place in hell, and we play as William Afton dealing with the torture we deserved for killing all those kids, but specifically the one we should not have killed. However, the confusing thing to me is that in Ultimate Custom Night, while we play as William Afton, we can also play against animatronics like Springtrap and Scraptrap, which are indeed versions of us. This is confusing to me, but it makes me wonder. Not about Willie being Springtrap, but about what the mechanics of this are. I suppose it could be that he did indeed create that monster, since he hid in the suit to feel more powerful when confronting the spirits, or perhaps it's because it was made of remnant. Or it could have just been that the characters available are the ones that Afton deemed his greatest failures in his mind. It's even more confusing that in the game code, Scraptrap is referred to as William Afton. Scott. I know you're clarifying that Scraptrap is William, but that throws a whole lot more wrenches into this than there should be for a final game in the original story. Come on. And at 2, Lights Out, Clock Out. This has only happened to me once, and it happened to me on this channel. Like I said, you're not dead until the game actually shows the static, so when the power goes out and the music starts playing, you can actually complete the night. While it may be more common than the others, imagine the ultimate night being, you get jump scared by Chica or Bonnie, you keep it going for an in-game hour, then the power goes out, then just as Freddy is singing, you make it to 6 AM by the skin of your teeth. Literally. Best thing ever. It's a real thing that can happen. That's pretty dope. I don't know if it has happened, but if you have a video where someone actually does it or something similar, please let me know down in the comments because I really need to know. Here's a clip of me somehow surviving because of this somewhat rare occurrence. Oh no. God. Oh god. Oh my god! Finally, in at number 1, Danger Keep Out call. Danger Keep Out is the Dreadbear DLC version of normal nights. On night 3, the final night, you can get a glitch that causes the call to blank and be replaced by beeping. After you do this, the whole level glitches out and the monitor says searching for glitches with a small progress bar. So like the whole room will become like static and purple and it's weird. But the game still goes on, so you still have to pay attention or you're screwed. Not to mention the textures end up missing, so you don't really know what camera to hit. This is my favorite version of the FNAF main gameplay type, just needing to focus on the doors and the Foxy cam. It really simplifies things and you don't really need to wait, you just flash them. And you're good. Don't flash people. That's bad. But in this game it's important and it makes things much more manageable.
Number 10, dining area. While the whole Freddy's location itself in FNAF 1 is pretty terrifying, it's the atmosphere created by the smaller rooms that help to give the entire restaurant a really eerie and creepy feel. One such location is the dining area. The fully dressed party tables in the completely desolate location are already enough to make a chill creep down your spine. There is something about the currently abandoned dark restaurant which you would normally affiliate with the bright smiles and laughter of children that cuts to the bone. It feels ominous, and while you watch from the safety of your security camera, like you definitely shouldn't be at this place after hours. Even though you should, because it's your job. This room gives you that feeling that someone is creeping up behind you when you gaze at it, reminding you that although you appear alone, you're most certainly not alone in this place. Number 9, the closet, FNAF 4. In FNAF 4, you had to run around and monitor different locations in your bedroom to avoid getting scared and gobbled up by the Nightmare Fredbear. One of the locations within your room that you have kept an eye on is the closet. Why is this so terrifying? Well, I feel like many children have that natural fear of what could be lurking inside their closet. And I'm an adult now, and yet I still sometimes get that fear. Especially as your closet in the game, like mine currently in my room, is on the opposite wall from your bed, close to the foot of your bed. Not even talking about the fact that there actually could be monsters in this closet. In fact, there likely is. There is just something about a closet being near where my feet are when I sleep that is unsettling. Because you know those monsters are going to drag you by your feet into that closet and probably murder you, right? If they emerge while you slumber. That's just how it goes with closet monsters.
And it ain't long jump scare. While yes, you can get jump scared twice, you can also get jump scared for the whole night. Like I said, you aren't dead until the static pops up on the screen, which means that while Chica or Bonnie is still in your face, you can still do stuff, kind of. And if you manage to open the camera monitor right after it closes, you can actually start the jump scare cycle all over again. This also makes you keep losing power and progresses the time forward. Therefore, if you get jump scared at 4 AM, you can keep opening the camera and actually end up surviving the whole night, even if it's 12 AM when you get jump scared. While this may sound absurd, it's something that can only work in the normal game, since in the VR game, these mechanics just don't exist. So if you get jump scared and you are on night 5, try a last ditch attempt to survive by prolonging the jump scare, and since you know it's coming, it's not going to be scary, just annoying, because of that goddamn scream.
Number 7, your own home. While it might not be featured in the games themselves, your home can feel pretty scary as the location that is most likely featured for you in the augmented reality mobile FNAF game Special Delivery. In this game, you take on animatronics who come right into your home to entertain you, bringing Freddy's experience right to your door, or wherever else it is that you dare to play Special Delivery. I would recommend personally playing it in a somewhat dim lit hallway if your phone's camera is good enough. The idea that something could pop up behind me further down the hallway always gets me when I'm playing, making me freak out when an animatronic is sent my way. Also, it's really fun to just spin around in hallways. That's fun. And scary. Especially if you get an animatronic coming your way from the main cast. In fact, I think this might be one of the rare instances when Freddy appears to be the scariest of them all. I normally don't say that. I don't think Freddy's that scary, but in Special Delivery, it's pretty scary. Number 6, Parts and Service Room, FNAF 2. Another spooky area we are forced to monitor on a regular basis is the Parts and Service Room in FNAF 2. This area is often terrifying in appearance because of how dilapidated it is and how broken down and tattered the animatronics here also appear. The animatronics who have fallen into disrepair often appear here, hence the name Parts and Service. They are really only good for scraps, and you can tell that this makes them more resentful and aggressive than other animatronics. Also, Mangle! Okay, so when you see Mangle here for the first time, it's just terrifying because it looks like it's just an animatronic head and a mess of wire, and so you get a terrifying closer look when it comes for you in the office in this game. Ugh, Mangle. Get out of here. Number 5, the back alley. FNAF 6. While we never actually get to properly explore the back alley that appears in Pizzeria Simulator, it is the source of all the damaged and disturbing looking animatronics that we can salvage, and any glimpses we do get of it are terrifying. It's definitely not a place you'd want to wander into alone at night. Unless of course you really need to salvage some animatronics for a quick buck, I suppose. We also get another peek at what appears to be the back alley in the FNAF book, The Freddy Files, where we see Scrap Baby's silhouette standing in what seems to be the dim light of that alley. And yikes, that picture itself feels like something out of a nightmare. Number 4, Pirate Cove. Pirate Cove of course is just terrifying because of everyone's favorite and frightening animatronic, Foxy. If it's your first time playing FNAF 1 as well and you haven't watched any videos of it being played, it's likely going to be an even more terrifying location for you if you don't give Foxy the respect he deserves and actually monitor the location properly. When Foxy starts to peek out from behind that curtain, you're likely going to be frightened, and when he comes sprinting out at you that first time, if you're caught unawares, you're going to be more than frightened, you'll be terrified. Number 3, opening title. I'm not sure if we consider this a location, but it's so frightening that we probably should. In FNAF 7, the VR game Help Wanted, the opening title is just eerie. Now, nothing can happen to you here, you can't get jump scared, but because it's VR and you can turn around feeling like you're actually in a Freddy's location yourself, while giant animatronics loom over the title looking down at you, it's pretty unsettling. The fact that the animatronics' eyes and heads seem to follow your movements, and how real-like in 3D everything looks, makes this one of the most terrifying opening title settings yet for the FNAF franchise. Potentially one of the most opening titles of all time. Number 2, the scooping room, FNAF 5. I said scooping really weird there. Scooping room. It's an exciting word to say. One of the most terrifying places in the game is the scooping room, which is one of the areas in Circus Baby's entertainment and rental featured in FNAF 5 sister location. The scooping room isn't just terrifying because it's where you are killed and get scooped, though of course there is also that. It's also just frightening enough when you wake up there the first time, hearing other animatronics be scooped and finding out that Circus Baby has basically kidnapped you and hidden you in an animatronic spring lock suit. You're then forced to fend off Bellora's mini-renas while keeping an eye on the spring locks, so you don't die from the suit's springs and gears getting loose and skewering you. Number 1, the real Freddy's. In 2015, fans found a mysterious set of coordinates in the source code of Scott Cawthon's website. Of course, Scott is often known for hiding lots of little Easter eggs in there, so fans pieced together the coordinates and entered them into Google Maps to see what kind of gem they'd found. The coordinates led them to a pizzeria in Virginia. This led many loyal fans to believe that Scott was trying to hint that this was the pizzeria that inspired FNAF, and maybe even was somehow distantly connected to the events of the games. However, this turned out to be false, and while fans have also found a few pizzerias with Freddy in the name, Scott would later go on to dismiss any connection to any of the speculative real pizzerias, even asking fans to please stop calling any locations that bear similarity to the restaurant franchise featured in the games, as it was disruptive to these legitimate businesses. Still, although this proved to be just a fluke, wouldn't it be scary and cool if there was a real, potentially haunted or dilapidated pizzeria that inspired the games? If there were, that would likely be the most terrifying FNAF location of all, because it would be real. Also, if it was in business, it'd probably be really popular too.
And at 10, William Afton. I've said it before and I'll say it until the day this stops being an issue. Springtrap contains the body of William Afton inside. We see Purple Guy run into the Golden Spring Bonnie suit at the end of Five Nights 3, where due to the moisture in the air and William's rush, he ended up getting trapped inside thanks to the spring locks, and then he ends up collapsing, but take note, we never really see him die. He's just twitching, as he was in the trailer to that game, and while yes, Michael may be literally purple now, as his flesh decayed after Ennard entered him in sister location, just because he's literally purple doesn't mean he's the killer. And just because when Michael says, "I'm going to come find you" at the end of sister location, and then Springtrap appears, that does not mean that Springtrap is him. We see that Michael was at sister location, and this camera movement takes place at Fazbear Fright. That was burnt down by Henry in an attempt to kill William, because we all know who did it. William is inside Springtrap, not Michael. Scott even confirmed this when talking about MatPat's timeline after Ultimate Custom Night came out, saying if you're hung up on the whole Will Trap versus Mike Trap debate, watch MatPat's video. And in that video, MatPat says that it is indeed William in the suit, not Michael. There you go, please stop. And at 9, it's a suit. While the Springtrap suit contains William's body, it is still a suit. The Golden Bonnie animatronic was a spring-lock suit, which as Phone Guide tells us is a specially designed suit that doubles as both animatronic and suit. Meaning that the spring-lock mechanics in the Golden Bonnie suit would retract like some form of even more complex Iron Man and create enough room for a person to climb inside and wear like your normal Chuck E. Cheese suit. Obviously, they weren't amazingly designed since there were some flaws. Like when they get wet, the spring locks can close easily, which is why Michael got bit in FNAF 4 and why William got snapped while in the suit. The suit also is clearly meant to be a suit since it has 5 fingers and 5 toes, which the other suits are lacking in favor of 4 fingers and 3 toes. It's even more clear when looking at the secret menu screens for FNAF 3, where on rare occasions you can see a skinless William Afton trying to get out of the suit by prying the head open. Yeah, it's weird. And at 8, secret room. All Freddy Fazbear locations had a secret room, a room that was secret because it was invisible to the animatronics, meaning that while every other room was programmed into their pathfinding, this room wasn't, and because it was never mentioned to any customer, only employees that were around before they sealed them up. Why did they seal up these rooms? Because William Afton was stuck inside one, and if they just closed the one, that would look kinda suspicious. Use twitching in the Spring Bonnie suit. This is seen in the FNAF 3 final minigame where we see William run into the suit and then collapse. This is the safe room as indicated by the fact that the Shadow Freddy can find it, but you as an animatronic are physically unable to enter because your pathfinding does not allow it. William uses this to hide inside and then dismantle you as you try to find him, but he ends up unintentionally releasing the spirits of the children he killed. After he gets snapped in the suit, they fade away, but are only really put to rest when you get the good ending and give Golden Freddy the party she wanted, even if it's not enough for her to let go, which is kinda salty. I mean, like, it must have been a really bad cake. Come on, puppet. Chop chop. And at 7, no head.
So no head?
The suit doesn't have an endoskeleton head, get your mind out of the gutter. It's actually impossible for it too, since even with the crazy advanced tech that these places have, you cannot move an endoskeleton head as they are presented in the games away enough for a normal head that just barely fits inside to fit inside. This is also shown in the menu screens when William is trying to remove the Springtrap head. There is no form of robotic head present. It's his eyes and his meat. How on earth would the face operate in the Springlock suit if there was no proper head? Is it just a different form of robot or like a different arrangement of parts to get everything working more efficiently? Because if that's the case, why isn't that the case with every animatronic? If it costs the company less to manufacture, I'm sure William would be fine with it if not encourage it, since he gets his daily fill of child murder and he saves a little bit of money on the side, so might as well. Well, maybe it's more expensive, but if that's the case, I'm sure it's easier to just make a separate suit than paying extra for a specially designed suit that doubles as both animatronic and suits. Like, just make a separate one. You can still kill kids in it. And at 6, no clear motive. We know that William Afton is the purple guy and that he is the Springtrap and that he is the killer, but what we don't know for sure is why. We know his boy gets chomped and then he sets out to put him back together as a robot, but he was killing kids before that even happened. What we don't know is why he's doing it. We know he sets out to create more Remnant in an effort to unlock the secrets to eternal life or something like that after he discovers Remnant, but why did he start killing kids in the first place? Did one act like Braith and just really piss him off? Was it just something he wanted to try? Is it some weird fetish? He clearly feels emotion since he felt sad after losing his son, sad enough to block out the woman Ballora represents from his life, but we don't know 100% why he killed Susie in the first place. Do you have any theories? Do you have any idea why he could have done it? Let me know in the comments because figuring this one out may be the key to solving the rest of the lore that we haven't really figured out already. And at 5, Lie lures. He had to lure kids into the back room somehow, right? So dressed in the Spring Bonnie suit, he told kids all sorts of things to get them backstage. We know he told Susie, the girl who would later possess Chica, that he had her dog that was actually still alive, as indicated by the bleeding dog carcass in the Fruity Maze minigame and the whole Chica the high school year scene where she says, "I told them someone ran over his dog," or something like that.
He'll be mine by the end of the day. I just know it. I told him that someone ran over his dog in front of my house.
So we know he lies to bring kids backstage, where he ends up killing them for, at this point, unknown reasons. Stuffs the bodies into the animatronics to hide them and then leaves like nothing happened. It's like that meme where Pennywise is talking to Georgie and he's like, "I have brand new Pokemon cards down here," and then Georgie crawls in. Like, you know the one? For me it would be something like, "I have information about Stephen Amell returning as the Green Arrow down here." Or like I once made one that said, "I have all the other Pokemon you can't get in Sword and Shield down here," and that one would honestly get me. Pokemon is the one game that shouldn't need a DLC, okay? Forgot this was a FNAF list. And at 4, Scrap Trap. Scrap Trap is the same as Springtrap. Pink guy is purple guy, is Springtrap, is Scrap Trap, is William Afton. There's an entirely separate debate online that is along the lines of William is Springtrap but Michael is Scrap Trap or something like that, and it's just ridiculous. Why would that be true? The only Spring Bonnie suit we know of is the one that William was inside before the events of Pizzeria Simulator. For those of you who don't know, Scrap Trap is the version of Springtrap you find outside of the pizzeria in the back alley, like where you find Scrap Baby, Molten Freddy, and Lefty. And in accordance to paragraph 4, you bring it inside so that when the pizzeria burns at the end of the week, everyone who needed to be set free with fire, since that's the only way to destroy remnants, can be set free. Scrap Trap is just a further decayed version of Springtrap. It's not a separate character, it's not its own thing, it's not Michael or anyone new. It's Springtrap, it's William. They are all one and the same.
Number 3, Ennard. In sister location, Ballora ends up getting scooped out, and her parts are actually used to help create Ennard. Her endoskeleton is used to form his upper body, and her eyes are actually used to help him disguise himself more successfully as a human, as hers are smaller and more human-like than most of the other animatronics.
Penultimately, and at number 2, Springtrap. I believe we all know this story by now. Everything was going well at first. They couldn't pin him down and he was on his way to immortality. Once William discovered Remnant, however, he spiraled. He wanted to use it to fuel his life and make himself truly immortal. So in an effort to study it further, William lures
possessed animatronics to the back room that they can't access and uses it to dismantle them, planning to melt down their endoskeletons to make soul-infused metal. However, by doing this, he unknowingly releases the souls of the victims he claimed oh so long ago. Shocked, he tries to scare them by getting into his Spring Bonnie suit, which also coincidentally makes him feel more powerful. However, this haste coupled with the leaking in the back room causes the spring locks to fail, crushing him in torturous agony for the next 30 years. However, he didn't die from this. As we learn in the Man in Room 1280, he was being kept alive by the spirit of another victim. So he was living that agonizing pain for 30 years. And that makes him damn well deserving of the number 2 spot. And before you ask, no, him and Garvey are 2 separate characters, meaning that they can both be included on this list. You're welcome.
Finally, in at number 1, oldie but a goodie. This suit is one hell of an old suit, not to mention how long William was stuck inside it, but this suit dates back all the way to Fredbear's family diner, which is crazy, and even if they had this technology when that diner was prominent, that makes me even more concerned about how this thing was Iron Man levels of advanced. And while the decay on Springtrap makes that evident, it confuses me as to how it started to break down when Golden Freddy, a spring lock that is as old if not older than Spring Bonnie, seems fine in the first game. I think it's because those holes and rips were in fact made by William when he was trying to escape the suit. We see him trying to pry off the head, so it would make sense why he would have torn off bits of fur or even removed the whole foot in an effort to be set free. What do you guys think about the Springtrap decay? Let me know your thoughts down below.
And at 10, Crying Child. Okay, so I'm putting this one at number 10 because I personally don't think that the Crying Child is a Springlock victim. To me, there's just no logical way that that animatronic jaw should have crushed his skull, because, you know, the Springlocks were already active and that would require a lot of power to crush a skull anyway. However, it is possible that since this is a series about haunted animatronics possessed by spirit metal, that logic kind of gets thrown out the window. So assuming that he is a Springlock victim, that's brutally scary. Being thrown into an animatronic's mouth and crying so much that you make the jaw snap onto your own skull, killing you instantly? Holy crap, that is nightmare fuel. That's why some people are scared of robots or animatronics, and while it may not be realistic, the possibility of it happening is still horrifying to say the least, especially since not even that long ago he lost his sister to Circus Baby, and that's pretty messed up. And I'm sure that Michael, who put the kid in his mouth, as long as, you know, I'm wrong about my theory, he'd be scarred for life. And I think I would be too. Before we move on to number 9, can you do me a favor and smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet if you are looking forward to this list. I saw a load of comments asking for it, so this better not flop. If it flops, so help me, you will all have a reckoning. The more likes we get, the more likely we are to do a part 2, and it also helps us against the algorithm almighty and lets us grow the channel, which means more cool vids for you, so you know, it's a win-win, so thank you. And at 9, The Twisted Ones. The Twisted Ones novel starts a year after The Silver Eyes ended, with Charlie in university. One day, however, Clay Burke comes to see Charlie, and for some reason brings her to see a corpse with familiar wounds. This could either be because she would recognize them, or because she was working with the police, or because they had to advance the plot. I don't know, I haven't read the original novels, but I want to. However, looking at the wounds, she confirms that they are in fact a Springlock failure, meaning that we have an unnamed Springlock victim in the Twisted Ones novel. If this character does have a name, like if it's revealed in later down the line or something, please let me know, because I couldn't find one online. However, while this may seem insignificant to you, the real horror of this number comes from what it signifies. This Springlock marks the return of William Afton, since at the same time, Clay also tells her that a blood sample they took from Afton showed that the body was a fake, or at least it was fake blood. The return of a killer, and the purple guy of all of them, that's pretty damn scary if you ask me. And at 8, The New Kid. Continuing with the theme of FNAF books, what about the story The New Kid from 1:35 AM, the third Fazbear Frights book? The story revolves around Devon, Mick, and Kelsey. Devon and Mick are outcasts. They aren't popular, they aren't cool, but when the new kid Kelsey arrives at their school, they make a new friend, despite Kelsey being charismatic and adored by everyone else in the school. Over time though, Devon grows jealous of Kelsey, since Kelsey has everything that Devon wants. So in an act of revenge or to gain control, because you know that's kind of serial killery, Devon hatches a plan to lure Kelsey to an abandoned Freddy Fazbear's to trap him in a Springlock suit for a couple hours, to try to humble him, I guess. But the plan goes horribly wrong. After getting in the suit, the spring locks fail, as expected, because you know this is a FNAF book, causing Kelsey's blood to soak into the fur of the animatronic and pull around the ground. Devon and Mick leave Kelsey for dead so that they won't get in trouble, but something doesn't feel right. So a week later, Devon returns to make sure that Kelsey's body is still there, for some reason. He sticks his hand into the animatronic's mouth to feel if it's there, and snap! The spring locks fail yet again, as per usual, and Devon gets his hand stuck inside the suit and bleeds out, but not before seeing a body in the suit, but with black hair instead of Kelsey's blonde hair. If that's not scary, then you need to go see a doctor, because that's bone chilling. That's messed up. No. And at 7, Grim Fredbear. Grim Fredbear is one of the antagonists from Final Nights 3 Nightmares Awoken. He's only active on Night 5 and found in the left hallway. Grim Fredbear resembles the normal Golden Fredbear suit, only with his suit glowing a deep purple while the interior of the suit glows a bright white. His upper face appears to be torn off, including his eyes, leaving an empty, hollow, gaping hole in its place. The inside of the mask, though it appears like there's nothing really inside, actually conceals a white, pale human head that can only be seen during his jump scare. And before you ask, yes, it's mine. The animatronic is clearly meant to be a reference to Shadow Freddy and the theory that the Shadow animatronics were Springlock victims, which was later confirmed by Scott to be false when stating that William was the only victim of a Springlock failure. And in the museum level, which unlocks after Night 5, it is revealed that Grim Fredbear is a Springlock victim, saying, quote, another Springlock failure victim, the second generation of Fredbear. And at 6, Grim Chica. The first Springlock victim in the Final Nights series, Grim Chica is a primary antagonist in Final Nights 3 Nightmares Awoken. Unlike others, she is not a Reaper animatronic. Grim Chica holds a strong appearance to the Springlock suit on the poster in the Night 3 cutscene, but her faceplates are very hard to spot and she's almost entirely purple. She really resembles Toy Chica. The glowing accents inside of her resemble a human corpse. She lacks a bib unlike the original Chica, and her overall body is very slim like the original Toy Chica, except for her hips, which appear to be much wider. Got the baby birth and hips. I regret that immediately. And she lacks shoulders or upper arms, with her forearms protruding from her armpits. Grim Chica is also revealed to be a Springlock victim in the museum level, saying, quote, a victim of a Springlock failure, forever forced to haunt the suit she is wearing, now being manipulated by your sister and mother. Tried spray on tan, still very pale. Why is that so relatable to me? Like, no matter what I do, I'll always be pale and pasty. Not the whole being manipulated by your sister and mother thing. That's weird. But like, I'm okay with forever being pasty. However, I did rank this above Grim Foxy because, like, it's Chica. And look what they did to my girl Chica. I'm sorry, Mommy Kentucky, for the transgressions. Halfway through, and at number 5, Garvey. A psychopathic, cold-blooded killer. He stopped being human long ago. That's how Garvey is described in the extras of Dormitibus, the game from which he hails. Garvey is the penultimate antagonist of Dormitibus, and as a human, he was the man who murdered the missing children. He later went on to get trapped in Spring Bonnie, becoming Springtrap, and then was burnt to a permanent death in the Fazbear Frights fire. Garvey is a more gory version of Springtrap from FNAF 3. However, he is not William Afton, as the game was released before the name reveal, even before FNAF 4. Springtrap, but with hardly any exosuit or animatronic casing, whatever you want to call it. He crawls on all fours and uses his left hand as a foot and his left foot as a hand, like some demonic monkey from hell that Satan didn't sanction the creation of. Just look at this thing and tell me that it shouldn't be on this list. If you do, you'll be lying. And at 4, Golden Call. As a human, when alive, Golden Call's name was Kyle. However, he is now a Springlock victim stuck inside a Golden Freddy Springlock suit. Golden Call has the typical rundown Springlock suit vibe, similar to Springtrap. However, this is even more gruesome. His left ear is bent, he has guts coming out of basically every hole in his body, human eyes are hanging out of the animatronic's eye sockets. He's even missing exosuit on his right foot, and the character is holding a flesh-colored, at least it's flesh-colored, it may be even like fully like a flesh phone in his right hand that stays stuck to his head via more flesh or blood strands connecting to the side of his head. It's horrifying, dude. This is a monstrosity. And looking at his age on the wiki, Kyle was only 5 when he got springlocked, which is absolutely nuts and just flat out horrible. So unfortunate, man. He was supposed to be the next best Fortnite player. That's a joke for the long-term subs. You know it.
And a 3, Golden Freddy jump scare. Another aspect of the game that isn't really a glitch but could also be, we don't really know for sure, is Golden Freddy's jump scare. It involves his face showing up on the screen and then the game crashes, but the key word is crashes. If the game shut itself down intentionally, it would be a different story, but the issue is if the game is truly crashing, it would not have been what was intended. This was obviously later duplicated, thus maybe lending less to the idea that it was an accident, but maybe things that were an accident later helps in the long run of developing ongoing jokes. The whole "it's me" thing could also be thought of as a glitch. I know it's not, but it could be considered one if you think about it in like a very, very loose sense of the word. It's also weird that Golden Freddy just shows up inside, going through closed doors, you know, he has no regard for humanity. Same. And 2, names. Springtrap has gone by many names, some being before the name was known, like when the Five Nights 3 trailer came out, some being just simple mistakes. However, they all existed, and technically you could also say that Springtrap went by all the names that the Purple Guy did since they're the same person, but I'm going to ignore that. Springtrap has also been known as, well, Springtrap, William Afton, Michael Afton, Scraptrap, Spring Bonnie, Golden Bonnie, and most interestingly, Hybrid. This name was brought on when the trailer for Five Nights 3 was released, and technically it was right. The fans assumed that Hybrid was in fact a hybrid of all the toy animatronics which he used to build himself, which could have been the inspiration for creation from The Joy of Creation. But in fact, Springtrap is just a hybrid of human and animatronic suit, not being entirely one or the other, hence why I refuse to put him in the scariest animatronics list, especially since I don't really find him that scary. But Amanda put him on when she took apart, but despite that, I still stand by my viewing. I stand by my reasoning, okay? He's not entirely an animatronic. He's still in the suit. We never see him die.
Finally, in at number 1, you. A spoiler alert for a fan game, and if I say which fan game, it's going to spoil it. So, if you want to avoid spoilers, click away now. And thanks for watching. I'll give you a chance to do that now. Okay, now that you've prepared for spoilers, A Shadow Over Freddy's is a FNAF fan game created by Fiznam on GameJolt. It released on April 25th, 2018, and since it was made by the same guy who is currently working on FNAF Plus for the Fazbear fanverse, you know it's bound to be good. The gameplay of A Shadow Over Freddy's is a hybrid between a traditional point-and-click game and a free-roaming horror game. The player wakes up to find themselves with no memories in a black and white abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and is tasked with surviving 5 nights in escaping the restaurant. The player is given a different task each night and must complete said task before 6 AM and without being attacked by any roaming animatronics. However, the ending of the game has you getting trapped in a spring-lock suit and left to rot, meaning that you are a spring-lock victim, which is probably the scariest victim of them all, cause I don't know about you, but I'd rather not get spring-locked. Although I know there are plenty of you that would just love that. You'd fill the suit with liquids that aren't blood, and that's messed up. Like, I'm not one for kink shaming, but yeah, there's kinks, and then there's like being killed, you know? I don't know how else to put that.
Number 10, eyes closed. Often when you see Ballora in the game, she appears to have her eyes closed. While other animatronics often have their eyes wide open, there is something unsettling about the fact that her eyes are often closed. It's like she's lulling you into a sense of safety. You don't think that she's always watching you, but even with her eyes closed, she kind of seems to be. Because she can still hear you. Number 9, Baylor. Due to her eyes being closed, some have actually theorized there is a connection between her and the mythological demon or creature known as Baylor. The fact that her eyes seem to be permanently shut and even unable to open at times is a fact that people focus on, and this, as well as the similarity to her name, Ballora, is where the theory comes from. Though it is more likely that her name is simply a reference to the fact that, you know, she's a ballerina. In Irish mythology, a Baylor is a giant cyclops who only opens its single eye when it wants to destroy its enemies. Otherwise, it is known for having its eyes shut because it's basically shooting a beam out of it when it's open. In Dungeons & Dragons, a Baylor is a demonic creature, often pictured with horns and wings. People also might be pulling the name Baylor from Finn Balor's demon persona in WWE. Does Scott like WWE? Could there be a connection there? I don't know, but when I read this theory, I definitely was like, wait, like demon like Finn Balor demon? Also, is it weird that I know that? Number 8, motivation. In the sister location game, you are forced to shock Ballora into dancing at the beginning of the game, forcing her to perform. The frightening thing about this is the fact that you already know from the previous games that the animatronics are often out to kill you. So being forced to shock Ballora into performing seems like a bad idea, and makes you feel like you are definitely going to end up dying on this job. Which you probably will, at least a few times. Or you'll probably come close. Number 7. Singing. Ballora is said to be a talented dancing and singing animatronic. Her goal is to get children active and dancing to balance out all that pizza that they enjoy. You get to experience her singing firsthand in Sister Location, where you will hear her sing out in a very creepy voice. She appears to mainly focus on one melody, and one of the lines that you can hear her sing in the game is as follows: "I roam these halls alone all day, but now you're here, friend, and pray." Ugh. Pray, I don't like that. She also sings about hearing your flesh and bones. Yikes. Number 6, more aware. Some animatronics in the game seem to speak to you through pre-recorded lines. In fact, a good number of them do that. Circus Baby, however, is not one of them, as she is possessed by William Afton's daughter, Elizabeth, and seems to be more in control of her thoughts, her words, her actions. However, Ballora also displays sort of this level of awareness when compared to the other animatronics. She talks to you when you are in the vents underneath her gallery, and her words and phrases seem to be outside of any pre-recorded voice recordings that she might be programmed with. This either means that Ballora could also be possessed, or that she simply has more advanced programming than some of the other animatronics. Number 5, sharp teeth. Despite not being a nightmare animatronic and not being animal themed either, Ballora oddly enough still has razor sharp teeth in her mouth for some reason, which mostly appear to be there in the game to frighten you, as I couldn't really see any practical use for them, unless it's killing the children that she teaches how to dance, like maybe because she eats them. She has a few more human or dull looking teeth in front, but behind them are rows and rows of razor sharp teeth. So watch out, don't put your hand in there. Number 4, her different jump scares. All of her jump scares are different, but equally terrifying. Some are jump scares where her face and eyes remain closed, while in others her face actually simply opens up but her eyes still remain closed. But she also has jump scares where both the inside of her face and her eyes are also revealed. The only thing that isn't scary about this fact is that she actually has really, really pretty, like, purple eyes. Is it just me? I always wanted to have purple eyes when I was younger. I was like, man, I wish I was born with purple eyes. Then I realized that's not really a thing. There aren't really people that are born with purple eyes.
And at 3, Am I Real? Am I Real, also known as Cake Bear, is presumably the primary and most recurrent antagonist in Dormitibus. Am I Real has 2 different forms. His first form is Cake Bear. Cake Bear's design originated from the Save Him minigame, where he delivered cake to children while a kid is murdered outside. He is the predecessor of both Fredbear and Freddy Fazbear. Cake Bear is a brown bear animatronic that also acts like a spring-lock suit that appears in most of the main nights. Although they do look similar, the only similarities he has to Freddy Fazbear in reality is that they both possess a top hat, are brown, have blue eyes, and are a bear. Am I Real's second form is a form that resembles Springtrap, however. This form has a green color much like Springtrap and contains human remains. His right eye socket has gotten bigger on the side and a big hole can be seen on the right side of his head. His top hat has received some withering on it as well, and his lower jaw is slanted and worn down, no longer circular like Cake Bear's. He also has a sizable hole in the right side of his torso, revealing organs. Ha, lovely. Rips and tears cover his arms, revealing more human remains. He also appears to be missing at least 1 finger on his right hand, and it's absolutely terrifying to look at. Of course, 3 out of 10 of these are going to be from Dormitibus. Like, what did you think was gonna happen? Did you watch the Dormitibus animatronics list?
Number 2, crawling. Scott actually has confirmed that Ballora actually only has 2 ways to move. She's either gliding around on the tracks, dancing gracefully, or when not on the tracks, is forced to crawl around on all 4s, like some kind of creepy spider. He also confirmed that she can climb up walls like Mangle. Talk about facts to keep you up at night. Now I'm just gonna be laying in bed at night, thinking that when I wake up, I might just see Ballora crawl onto my ceiling, have her face open up at me. Ugh. Number 1, mini arenas. During the game Sister Location on night 3, you also get introduced to Ballora's mini arenas. These are small, kind of alternate versions of Ballora. They don't really quite look like her, kind of like her minions, except that they often seem to be more busy antagonizing Ballora, like when they're holding up her pieces, as opposed to helping her. Except they kind of seem to be more busy antagonizing Ballora as opposed to always helping her. On night 3, you see them holding up Ballora's dismantled parts on the stage, prompting the AI who guides you through the game to seem content in the fact that Ballora appears to be in working order. She's not. It does not register the fact that she's dismantled, it only registers the fact that she's on the stage, and mistakes her presence for her being functional, so apparently that's good enough for it. Later on, the mini arenas will become freed from Ballora and proceed to come after you.